Billionaire revealed the hidden wisdom of a black waitress. Her touching advice changed everything. Every morning at 6 a.m., as the sun began to spill its golden light over Chicago's skyline, Maya pulled open the doors of the bustling downtown diner. The air danced with the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee and sizzling bacon, a comforting embrace that welcomed regulars and newcomers alike. With her warm smile, Maya poured not just coffee, but also herself into every plate she served, a blend of labor and love that spoke of resilience. At 45, each shift felt heavy with responsibility, raising her spirited teenage daughter, Lily, while caring for her aging mother, who'd seen better days. Maya's heart, though burdened, was a tapestry of hopes and dreams. She believed that hard work and perseverance were the fabric of the American dream. Yet, a storm was brewing within her family. One fateful morning, the diner was alive with chatter, forks clinking against plates, and laughter melting into the air. Then, the door swung open, and in walked David, a once powerful businessman drenched in defeat, draped in an expensive suit now frayed at the edges. He sank into a booth, unnoticed by the crowd, his shoulders heavy with the weight of recent job loss, a stark contrast to the life he once led. Maya approached him, her instinct urging her to reach out. "Good morning. Can I get you some coffee?" she chirped, her smile as bright as the sun spilling through the window. David looked up, his gaze trapped in a well of despair. Maya sensed it. "Life can be a lot, can't it?" she said, sliding a steaming cup toward him. As David sipped his coffee, their conversation unfolded, a shared space where Maya peeled back the layers of her life. She spoke about raising Lily, balancing dreams with daily struggles, all while bringing light to her mother's fading memories. Her words sparked something in David, a flicker of hope igniting inside him. Soon, over slices of pie, they shared stories of grit and spirit, weaving a bond forged in shared wisdom. But back home, tension simmered. Lily felt trapped within the diner's walls, eager for speed, for success. "Mom, why are you killing yourself for crumbs? We could be so much more." Her words cut deep. Maya's heart ached. They had grown apart, each yearning for a better future, but yearning in different directions. The diner became their battleground, a microcosm of love and conflict, family ideals fading like the diner's evening light. Meanwhile, David's admiration for Maya blossomed. He began sharing financial insights that flowed naturally from his world of privilege. "Investing in yourself is just as important as your hard work, Maya," he encouraged as she began whispering to herself the dreams of her own food truck. But as their aspirations intertwined, misunderstandings surfaced. Maya discovered the shadows of privilege lurking behind David's intentions. Would his support come with strings? Caught between her daughter's restless ambition and David's promise of mentorship, Maya wrestled with a growing conflict, a familiar aching in her chest. What did success mean? Would pursuing her dreams mean compromising her values? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as Maya prepared to define her path, a heart-stopping moment arrived. The sacred ties of love tangled with ambition. As laughter filled the diner, the bittersweet ache of wanting better for her family stole her breath. The community around her, filled with hearts that echoed their struggles, watched in bated breath. What would she choose? Dream of? Her food truck, or uphold the values that built her? The resolution loomed, and Maya stood at the precipice, poised on the edge of change, seeking the wisdom that lay deep in her heart. Maya took a deep breath, her heart pounding in rhythm with the clamor of the diner. She glanced around at the familiar faces, the busy office workers grabbing their morning coffee, the elderly couple sharing last night's news, and the single dad juggling his kids and his breakfast order. Each of these lives intertwined with hers in tiny but significant ways. Was it worth risking it all? Behind the counter, the scent of pancakes wafted through the air, wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. But today, the smell of familiarity felt heavy with urgency. She turned to glance at Lily, who was seated in a corner booth, scrolling through her phone, clearly irritated. Maya's heart ached at the distance growing between them. "Lily," she called gently, her voice breaking through the noise. Her daughter shot her an annoyed look but walked over, arms crossed defiantly. "What, Mom?" "I'm busy," Lily replied, tracing the screen's glow with her finger. Maya felt the lump in her throat. "Can we talk? Just for a second?" Lily rolled her eyes but agreed, plopping down in the seat across from her. "Make it quick. I know things are complicated between us," Maya started, her voice hitching slightly. "You want more for yourself for us." "I do too." "Then why do you hold back?" Lily's voice was sharp, almost accusatory. "Why not take that chance? You're afraid of failing. You need to grab your dreams and go for it." Maya was taken aback by the fire in her daughter's eyes. "It's not that simple, sweetheart. You think it's just about me? Everything I do is for our family. There is so much to consider. Mom, you don't even try. You just stay stuck here, like it's your whole world." Lily's cheeks flushed as her frustration poured out. Maya felt her heart crack. Sometimes it feels safer to stay where you are. It's hard to break from what you know. "I've got my family to protect. What about your dreams?" The question hung in the air, challenging her in a way that stung. Maya's gaze drifted to David, who was at another table, lost in thought as he observed the diner's rhythm. Did he know how much her dreams tugged at her conscience? Would his advice mean losing herself in his world? And where did that leave Lily's aspirations? Maya's resolve wavered. "What if I fail?" "Failure hurts, Lily. It feels like doing everything for nothing." "But what if you fly?" Her daughter's voice softened, but there was steel behind her words. "You won't know unless you try. Sometimes you have to risk it all to live." That simple phrase wrapped around Maya's heart, stirring something she had buried deep. She had always been the rock, the steady hand. But perhaps she needed to break the mold. Just then, the door swung open, and a group of energetic college students brushed in, their laughter electrifying the air. One of them, a girl with a bright smile and colorful hair, joined the booth where joy erupted. Maya watched as they supported one another, dreams shared with laughter and possibility. In that moment, she felt a swell of longing. What if she dared to chase that dream, to build something of her own? But could she stand on the edge of all she knew and leap? Doubt still clung to her, cold and gripping. "Lily, I need time to think." Before Lily could respond, a smartphone rang out, capturing everyone's attention. It was David, glancing nervously as he answered. "Hello? Yes, this is David. No, I understand," but his brows knitted in concern, showing a glimpse of his own storm. Maya sensed the tension in his voice as it spilled over the hustle, and suddenly she began to feel the weight of their shared moments. The support he offered seemed genuine. But at what cost? As he hung up, their eyes met. Within that brief glance, Maya saw an unspoken invitation. She could step into the light, but would she be prepared for what lay ahead? "What is it going to be, Mom?" Lily's question hovered between them, taut as a string, waiting to break. Maya's heart raced, the thrill of possibility battling the fear of loss. Was it time to embrace the unknown? Would she finally take that leap, only to find that hope was worth any risk? The diner buzzed around her, a mix of life, dreams, and unaddressed fears. Would reality meet her aspirations? Or would she discover she was just too afraid to let go? Maya stood at the crossroads, each path gleaming with potential. But in the silence that followed, one thing was clear with every heartbeat: something was about to change. And soon, she would have to choose to leap or to stay safe. What choice would she make next? Maya felt her breath hitch as Lily's question hung in the air, thick with promise and dread. It felt as if everyone in the diner leaned in, waiting, expectant. The vibrant voices around them faded into a dull roar, and her heart hammered with uncertainty. Tensions are high, but maybe it's the moment to do more than just react, Maya thought, glancing at David again. His eyes showed concern, but also intrigue. What did he see when he looked at her? What would it mean if she truly opened up? "Mom, you know you want more," Lily insisted, her fierce gaze searching Maya's face. "Just admit it." Maya opened her mouth, ready to argue, but nothing came out. In that moment, she realized she hadn't fully acknowledged the yearning, not even to herself. The dreams she had packed away like old winter coats suddenly felt as urgent as the summer sun beating down through the diner's window. "Maybe you're right," she finally said, her voice trembling. "Maybe I do want more." In that vulnerable admission, a crack formed in the wall she had built around her fears. Suddenly, it didn't feel as daunting to take that leap. She imagined her life beyond the diner bustling with new faces and experiences, filled with the warmth of following her dreams instead of lingering in the shadows. As if lifted by a shared emotion, the energy in the diner shifted, pulsing with a newfound possibility. The college students laughed and cheered at their table, a reminder that youth often embraced the unknown in ways that were infectious. "I think it's time for a change," Maya heard herself say, and even she was somewhat surprised. Her heart fluttered at the thought. "But what does that mean for us?" Lily leaned forward, excitement mingling with cautious optimism. "It means we can figure it out together. You don't have to do it alone." Maya nodded, suddenly feeling lighter. Could it be this simple? Could they really face the world together, arm in arm, even if it seemed scary? Just then, David approached their table. "Sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help but overhear," he said, his voice genuine and warm. "What is this about a change?" Maya felt a tingle of vulnerability, but there was a sense of strength in David's curiosity. It brought her closer to the edge of that decision now swirling around her. "I think I might take a leap towards something new," she confessed, her eyes shining with an unspoken hope. David leaned against the table, intrigued. "You have dreams, don't you? The world could use a voice like yours to speak up." Maya could hardly breathe, the encouragement floating like sparks. "It's just I don't even know where to begin." He smiled as if the answer lay within reach. "Sometimes, starting means sharing your story. People connect with real experiences. You might not know the path yet, but taking that first step can change everything." Maya's chest swelled with emotions: anxiety, relief, a flicker of liberation. With Lily by her side, and David supporting her with quiet understanding, maybe it was time to step forward. "Mom, you've got this," Lily whispered, a spark igniting in her eyes. Maya grinned at her daughter. "Maybe I do." As the diner buzzed back to life, Maya felt warmth rising within her, pushing past the cold fears that had held her back for so long. She glanced at the trio of restless college students and felt that pull of intertwining dreams, laughter, and possibility. But just as the light of hope began to shine brighter, her phone buzzed on the table. A message flashed across the screen, coldly cutting through the joyful atmosphere. It was from her mother. "You need to come to the house. It's important." The impending weight of that message settled heavily on her chest. What wait for her there? Would it threaten her emerging courage? Maya turned to Lily and David, her heart in turmoil. "I have to go," she said, voice firm but shaken. As she stood, the world felt charged with open questions. There was still so much left to uncover. And whatever awaited her at home could change everything yet again. What awaited her on that next step? Would facing her past extinguish the spark she felt? Or would it light the fire she had long buried? Maya's heart raced as she stepped out of the diner, leaving the warmth of affection and encouragement behind. The weight of her mother's message felt like an anchor dragging her down. She took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the scent of fried food and sun-warmed pavement, and tried to steady herself. With each step towards her car, she replayed the thrill of her earlier thoughts, the promise of a new beginning. But now, the echo of her mother's words taunted her like shadowed figures lurking at the edges of her mind. "Mom, it's important." The tone had been stern yet tinged with urgency. Maya could hardly recall a time when that tone had invoked something good. Would she find a reprimand waiting for her? Would her own hopes be crushed before they had even begun to bloom? She slid into the driver's seat, hands trembling as they gripped the steering wheel. Taking a second to gaze at her reflection in the rearview mirror, she searched for the strength she had felt just moments ago. The reflection looking back was tired, etched with lines of worry and doubt. "You can do this," she whispered to herself, wishing for a glimmer of the determination she'd felt with Lily and David. The car hummed to life, and she let the familiar route to her mother's house guide her thoughts. She allowed herself a brief daydream of what her life could look like, a blog filled with her stories, interactions that dyed her world a vibrant multitude of colors, and maybe even a workshop where she could inspire others like David had encouraged her to. Yet, home was a different world, a world steeped in expectations and confusion. The painted facade of her childhood home stood as a reminder of everything she had walked away from. Her sanctuary now felt like a prison weighed down by stacks of unanswered questions. As she parked, she noticed how the garden seemed to sag under the weight of the day, flowers wilting as if bracing for the storm that brewed within her. She stepped out and walked towards the door, a chill creeping into her bones despite the warm summer air. "Maya?" came her mother's voice, cutting through the air before she even reached the threshold. She could feel the tension radiating from inside the house. Taking a breath, she turned the knob and stepped inside, moments later enveloped in the familiar scent of her mother's cooking. It brought back memories, some sweet, others bitter. Her mother stood in the kitchen, arms crossed over her chest. The tight line of her lips told Maya this was a casual visit. "You got my message," she said flatly, eyes glinting with a mix of authority and concern. "I did," Maya replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil churning inside. "You said it was important?" The pause hung between them, thick and heavy. "We need to talk about your father," her mother finally said, the break in her voice exposing vulnerability beneath the practiced resolve. Maya's heart sank. Memories of arguments, misunderstandings, and the weight of unspoken words collided in her mind. "What about him?" Her mother took a step forward, her expression softening, yet the unease lingered. He's not well." The words hit Maya like a slap. "What do you mean? Is he?" "It's serious, Maya," her mother interrupted, the urgency returning to her tone. "And I need you to be here with us. We have to face this as a family." The mention of family echoed painfully in her mind, reminding her of all the decisions that had taken her away from them and towards her own dreams. Eyes widening, Maya felt her heart fracture. "What about my plans? My life?" "Sometimes life doesn't go as planned," her mother said, a flicker of desperation in her eyes. "And sometimes it's in these moments we discover what matters most." As those words sank in, a warmth began to pulse through Maya. Could this upheaval, this challenge, be an opportunity for connection? Would embracing her past truly empower her future? Just then, a sudden thought struck her. Maybe she could hold her mother's hand through this storm and still reach for her own dreams. Could both coexist? As Maya pondered this new thought, her phone buzzed again, This time a message from David. I'm here for you. Just remember your story is worth sharing. Her heart raced with the weight of those words, flickers of hope igniting within her. But what if facing her father meant being torn between loyalty and her aspirations? Would she have to choose between the family she longed to reconnect with and the dreams she was finally daring to pursue? The stakes had never felt so high. She took a step closer to her mother, already knowing this conversation was just the first of many. What would she uncover about herself and her family through this forced reckoning? Would the truth heal the wounds or open new ones? Maya took a moment to gather her thoughts, the air thick with unspoken fears and possible resolutions. Each tick of the clock amplified the silence, making her acutely aware of the fractures in their relationship. She wanted to scream, to clarify her hopes and dreams, the ones she had nervously stitched together, only to have them underscored by this fragile news. Mom, Maya's voice cracked slightly as she struggled for the right words, the what-ifs digging deeper into her thoughts. What does not well mean exactly? Is he in the hospital? Is it serious? Her mother's gaze dropped, and that gesture alone told Maya everything she needed to know. The kitchen suddenly felt stifling, each breath like a weight pressing down on her chest. It was as if the walls themselves resonated with the echoes of past decisions, moments where family had felt like a burden rather than home. He hasn't been himself for a while now, her mother finally admitted, her voice trembling. We thought it was just stress, but it's more. The doctors are concerned about his heart. They ran tests last week, and Maya saw her mother's hand move instinctively to her chest, fingers curling into the fabric of her blouse. Maya's heart skipped. She had heard hushed conversations, saw the worry carving deeper lines into her mother's brow during the last few visits, but she had buried those concerns beneath her own aspirations, hoping they would vanish if she ignored them long enough. Maya's thoughts spiraled. And I wasn't here, she whispered, anger at herself blooming within. I should have been. Maya, please no. I chose to live my life. I was selfish. Her words, harsh and raw, hung heavy in the air. She felt the weight of past months, which had been filled with dreams and possibilities, now overshadowed by regret. Her mother approached, stepping closer, a softness in her eyes mixed with a restrained hope. It's not about blame. I know you have your plans. But this isn't an easy decision for any of us. Your father needs you now more than ever. Maya clenched her fists, fighting against the surge of emotion that threatened to explode. But I want to pursue my writing. I want to create something meaningful, not just visit a hospital every day. Her mother reached out, putting a hand on Maya's shoulder, grounding her even as her heart raced in turmoil. What if this is where you're meant to create something meaningful? What if your experience here can fuel your stories? If you truly want to connect with your writing, and with your father, you could lead with that part of your heart. Maya looked up, confusion mingling with dawning revelation. Could she weave the threads of her family story into her own? Could her father's struggle inspire her newfound passion instead of suffocating it? Before she could speak, another buzz from her phone distracted her. It was a reminder for her upcoming pitch event, a chance to showcase her blog. A mixture of fear and urgency collided within her. This was what she had yearned for the entire year. But standing there, with her mother's hand squeezing her shoulder in unwavering support, the gravity of family brought her back to reality. Her mother's voice broke through the chaos in her mind. Maya, I need you in these moments. I need my daughter, not just the writer. That simple plea pierced the fog. The heartache washed over her in waves, revealing secret hopes. What if she could be both? A daughter and a creator? Maybe this shared experience could become part of her narrative, a story woven through love, pain, and perseverance. With a deep breath, she nodded slowly, the gears in her mind shifting to a new possibility. Okay, I'll try. So what was the path forward? Would she find the courage, to show up for her family while still reaching for her dreams? The line between hope and despair blurred as she took another step toward reconciling her past and present. But just as a glimmer of resolve began to form, a sound shattered the quiet. A cough, a deep rattle echoed from the other room. Her mother's eyes widened, fear creeping back into the spaces that moments ago held promise. They exchanged a look heavy with understanding and trepidation. Maya's heart raced again, but not just from the weight of her choices. Was this the moment everything would change? Would they confront the shadows lurking in their family's narrative, or was it the beginning of an even darker chapter? As the cough echoed again, reverberating off the walls, Maya felt a shiver race down her spine. What awaited them beyond that door? Maya's breath caught as she instinctively moved toward the sound, her pulse quickening with each echo of the rattle. It felt like stepping into a frigid lake, the shock of reality hitting her hard. She exchanged another glance with her mother, who looked both fragile and resolute, a woman standing firm at the edge of a storm. "Mom, I think we should check on him," Maya said, her voice steady but laced with urgency. Her mother nodded, the gravity of the moment pressing down like layers of wet earth. Together, they stepped carefully into the small, dim-lit hallway that separated the kitchen from the living room. The atmosphere buzzed with unspoken fears. Each step felt monumental. They were on the brink of something that could shift everything they knew. As they entered the living room, the sight that greeted them brought tears to Maya's eyes. Her father sat on the couch, fatigue etched across his face, eyes closed and brows pinched in discomfort. The cough racked through him again, and he strained against it, a deep groan escaping his lips. "Dad!" Maya rushed forward, her heart pounding painfully. She knelt beside him, taking his hand in hers. His skin felt cool, almost fragile. "Maya?" He opened his eyes, squinting against the light. "What are you doing here?" I'm here for you," she said, her voice breaking as she fought against her rising emotions. "Mom told me." Her father glanced at her mother, who stood quietly, a picture of strength despite the worries shadowing her features. "I didn't want to worry you too. It's just a little cough," he reassured, but the weariness in his tone betrayed him. "Not just a cough, Dad," Maya said, desperation creeping into her voice. "Mom told me about the tests about your heart." His smile faltered, nostalgia mixing with something darker in his gaze. "Let us not dwell on that right now. I'm okay, really." Maya could sense a wall rising between them, one she had built herself over the years with all her ambition and dreams. But now it felt flimsy, ready to crack under the weight of their shared history. "You need to let us in, Dad. We want to help you." He hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." "Dad." The word burst out of her like a breath she had been holding too long. "You are not a burden. You're my dad. And I want to be here." The room fell silent, the air thick with the realization of vulnerabilities laid bare. Her father's brow softened, and for a moment, light flickered in his tired eyes. Maya's mother joined them on the floor, taking his other hand. "It's okay to ask for help," she said gently. Maya felt a swell of warmth as her parents drew close together. A fragile connection began to rebuild between them, the thread of love tightening against fear. She squeezed her father's hand, grounding him in that moment. "We can't go through this alone." Finally, he nodded, the admission weighing down on them. She saw the silent acceptance that her dreams didn't need to be sacrificed to take care of him. It was possible to weave their realities together, creating something new. Maya stole a glance at her mother, who mirrored her determination. "I can be here," Maya offered, "and I can still write. My stories can grow from this." Her father's grip tightened as he processed her words. "You want to write?" "I do. I always have. But I want to write real stories, our stories," she said, heart racing at the thought. "I want people to learn from our experiences, just like we are learning now." And there it was, the ember of an idea igniting into a flame, filling the air with possibility. But just as hope flickered through the room, the phone buzzed again, as if the universe were testing the ground they had just laid. Startled, Maya pulled away, glancing at her device. It was a message from her publishing mentor, wanting an immediate response about the pitch. Panic clawed at her, as she weighed the two worlds, the writer and the daughter. "Take your time," her father said, misreading her hesitation. "We'll be here." She looked back at them, her heart swelling with affection, yet heavy with pressure. This was the crossroads she had been dreading, and yet, perhaps it was the moment she had longed for, too. Would her father's struggle lead her to uncover her voice in ways she never anticipated? Could she truly balance her passion with her family's needs? As she set the phone down, a quiet determination ignited within her. Would she find a way to merge her worlds into one story worth telling? What would this journey bring next? Maya couldn't shake the buzz of her phone from her mind as she sat back down on the floor next to her father. The message loomed in her thoughts like a shadow, tugging at her ambitions while she desperately wanted to stay grounded in the moment. The warmth of her father's grip came as a balm, but the anxiety of her career promises clashed violently with the reality of her father's fragile health. "Dad, how are you really feeling?" she asked softly, hoping to steer the conversation away from the obstacles that pulled at her. He sighed deeply, each breath seeming like a labor. "Honestly, it feels like running a marathon without any training. I thought it would get better with rest, but—" His words drifted, gazing aimlessly at the wall, as if searching for answers within the chipped paint. Maya wanted to pull him close, to protect him from the truth that was creeping into their lives. Her mother squeezed his hand tighter, mirroring Maya's fear. "We're just glad you're here with us," she said, her voice a whisper of reassurance. But inside, Maya wrestled with guilt. Her dreams flickered like a candle in a storm. Could she really carve out the life she craved while supporting her family? The tension hung thick, thick enough that she felt she might choke on it. "Let's talk about something else," Maya suggested, willing herself to breathe. "What about that time you took us to the fair? Remember when you won that giant stuffed bear?" She tried to summon a smile, a memory that felt safe. Her father chuckled softly, the corners of his eyes crinkling as the memory warmed him momentarily. "You mean when I tried to show off and almost knocked over the game booth? You and your mother thought I was a hero that day." Maya couldn't help but join in the laughter, a momentary escape from the heaviness. "Of course, and I was doing my victory dance, while you pretended to be a pro. Your moves were questionable, but I admired the effort," he teased gently, the glint returning to his eyes. It felt like a lifeline, pulling them out of dark waters, if only for a moment. As the laughter faded, Maya felt her resolve strengthen. She took a deep breath and turned serious again. "Dad, I want to write about us, about everything. Do you think that would be okay?" Caught off guard, he looked at her. "Us? You mean to share these moments, the laughter and the tears?" "Yeah," Maya said, her voice gaining a firmer edge. "Our struggles, our victories. The real stuff. It's not just about you, Dad. It's about all of us. You have wisdom that no one else can share." Her father studied her, searching for signs of doubt, but finding only steadfast resolve. "If you think it helps, then maybe it's a good idea. Just make sure you keep being you, that you keep your voice." The ache of love mixed with fear tightened in her chest. "I promise. I need it to be real, and I need to be honest." What would she uncover in their family's story? How would it shape her journey? And could it heal the fractures beneath the surface in ways she hadn't imagined? Suddenly, the phone buzzed again, a sharper insistence this time. The call from her mentor wasn't waiting anymore. It was demanding. Maya picked it up, hovering over the screen, uncertain. Her heart raced at the uncertainty with every moment that passed. What if the choices she made here would define not only her career, but also how her family would heal? They needed each other, and that bond felt like the very foundation of her next story. The weight of the decision felt overwhelming. With one last glance at her father, still weakened but smiling back at her, she whispered a promise to herself. Whatever happens next, it has to be real. As she hit reply to the message, her heart pounded with anticipation. But would her truth be enough to carry them all forward? Maya's fingers trembled on the screen as she wrestled with the reply. The words echoed in her mind, her heart pounding with uncertainty. Would embracing her family's story reveal truths that lay buried too deep? The phone buzzed again, jolting her from her thoughts. She glanced at her father, whose face was a tapestry of warmth and love, yet etched with worry. Every smile he gave was a reminder of what was at stake. Taking a deep breath, she responded to her mentor. "I'm ready to move forward. Let us talk." As she set the phone aside, her mother moved closer, eyes searching Maya's face. "What did they say?" "I'll have a meeting soon." "Just getting ready," she replied, her voice steady but the storm within her still churned. "Are you sure about this? You know how these things can be." Her mother's concern wrapped around Maya like a protective blanket. "I know," she murmured, swallowing the tight knot in her throat. "But I need to do this for me. For Dad." Her mother nodded, their eyes locking in mutual understanding. While the weight of her father's illness rested heavy on them, Maya could sense the flicker of pride that they were all trying to nurture within this uncertainty. "Do you want to talk about how things will go?" her mother offered, softening the moment. "Maybe later," Maya said. "For now, I want to listen to Dad. Let's hear his stories, every last one of them." Her father perked up, intrigued. "All right, I'm on the hot seat now. What do you want to know?" Maya leaned closer, feeling the warmth of the room evolve into an atmosphere of storytelling. "What was the toughest decision you ever had to make?" He paused, the weight of the question hanging between them. "There was a moment when I had to choose between a job that made me miserable and following a dream that felt out of reach. It was lonely and hard. I could have played it safe, but in the end, following that dream changed everything. It might just be what you need to do, too." His words resonated deeply, threading into Maya's mission to carve her own path, defying expectations while loving her family fiercely. "Did it pay off?" she questioned, her curiosity igniting. "Absolutely. Not just in my career, but in how I felt. I learned the value of chasing authenticity." With that, an idea began to blossom inside her. "So if I write about our journey, it could inspire others?" "Yes," he said, leaning back with a soft smile. "It could." For a moment, silence draped them like a soft blanket, each lost in their thoughts. But the silence broke with the echo of a clock ticking on the wall, reminding Maya that time was both precious and fleeting. "All right, Dad," she said, pulling her legs close. "Let us talk about those decisions that transformed us and those moments that felt like breaking points. Start from the beginning." And so, her father began, weaving tales of hardship and perseverance. Maya clung to every word, fascinated by how each moment had forged them as a family. Laughter bubbled in and out of the stories, but the undercurrent of struggle lurked in each tale, difficult choices that led to growth. Yet, as the hours passed, Maya felt the gnawing reminder of her own ambitions clawing back at her. The truth was, she was equally terrified of what lay ahead. Once their stories were told, how would she summon the courage to share the narrative of a family struggling with vulnerabilities? "Do you feel scared sometimes, Dad?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. "Of course. Fear is natural. But it's what you do with that fear that defines your path," he said. Maya felt the warmth of a new resolve within her. His words echoed through her like a chorus of hope as she finally understood. Love encompassed both fear and courage. Yet, As night wrapped around them, a flicker of doubt remained. Could their collective struggles reveal something profound enough to unleash change? How would she even begin to shape their stories into something meaningful? With that pondering weighing heavy on her heart, she looked at her father and silently questioned whether he truly understood the journey she was about to embark on. What if opening the door to their true selves unearthed more than they expected? The room dimmed as evening shadows spilled across the floor, weaving through the fabric of their conversation. Each story her father shared felt like an unspoken pact, binding them in this moment. Maya absorbed everything, the laughter, the bittersweet memories, the tightness in her chest that was both fear and excitement intertwined. "Dad, what about the time you had to make a sacrifice for us?" Maya ventured, heart pounding at the vulnerability of her question. She wanted to know the depths of those choices, the moments when love meant letting go. He hesitated for a moment, the smile fading as a serious glint took over his eyes. "There was a time I lost a promotion I worked hard for. My boss wanted me to compromise my values, to let go of the honesty I believed in. I had to choose between my career and my integrity." Maya leaned in, her heart racing. "What did you choose?" "I chose to walk away," he said, a quiet power rising in his voice. "It was one of the hardest things I've done. But I knew I'd rather be at peace with myself than trapped in a job that would change who I am. It's easy to chase material wealth, but I wanted my wealth to be in respect and value, not just money." Maya felt a shudder of realization ripple through her. "So, you really believe it was for the best, right? Leaving it behind?" "Absolutely, my dear. Those sacrifices shaped me. They made me realize that true richness is found in our choices, and who we choose to be." Maya's thoughts raced. Each story her father shared was a piece of a puzzle, painted in its complexity: sacrifices, choices, truths. But they were also mirrors reflecting her own uncertainties. They reminded her of the stories she had yet to tell, the vulnerability she was gearing up to explore. "What about Mom?" she asked, eager to draw her mother into the weaving of family history. "What sacrifices did she make?" Her mother smiled softly, nudging closer. "Oh, it was a dance of give and take for both of us," she said. "I made my share of choices too. Every late night spent working, every time I paused my own dreams for your father, and then for you girls, it all came from love." Maya felt the heat of a question bubbling up. "Was it hard to put your dreams on hold?" Her mother paused, thoughtfully tracing the outline of her hands. "Sometimes, yes. But seeing you two thrive was always worth it. I learned to find my joy in supporting you. Every smile on your faces was a piece of my dream." Tears prickled at the corners of Maya's eyes, their words weaving a rich tapestry of resilience and love that echoed through the room. It felt like the gravity of their experiences was drawing them all together, creating a force that was both comforting and grounding. "What if?" Maya hesitated, feeling the weight of her own voice. "What if I wanted to include these stories in my writing? Would it be okay to share them?" Her father and mother exchanged glances, their expressions softening. "If it's your intention to honor our journey, then yes," her father said, a flicker of pride igniting in his eyes. "But you have to be ready for what that openness might bring." The silence that descended felt thick as fog, and her heart raced faster, echoing the reality of their conversation. Turning their lives into words meant exposing not just her family's truth, it meant confronting her own. "What if my truth isn't enough?" she whispered, fear wrapping around each syllable. "Your truth is always enough, Maya," her mother replied, sadness intermingling with reassurance. "Your stories matter. They have power. They can heal wounds you didn't even know existed." Maya exhaled deeply, the room closing in on her. What if revealing those truths brought pain as well? What if it unraveled the very fabric that held them together? As night settled around them like a blanket, she felt tangled in her emotions, hope and fear in equal measure. She was on the cusp of something monumental, a lifeline to her family's legacy, yet standing at the edge of a cliff of uncertainty. When her father looked at her, she sensed a challenge hidden behind his gaze, a call to embrace her vulnerability. Would she dare to take that leap? Just then, the phone buzzed again. Her mentor's name flashed on the screen. Was it time to confront the fears she had been wrestling with about stepping into the light? With one breath, Maya reached for the phone, her heart hammering against her ribcage, teetering on the brink of a decision that could change everything. What awaited her on the other side? Maya's fingers trembled over the phone, but she hesitated, staring at the glowing screen. It felt like a crossroads. The written words of her future hinged on her next choice. She glanced at her father and mother, both poised like stones of support and love, and her heart clenched with gratitude. Can this be real? She whispered to herself, her pulse racing. Her father's weary smile encouraged her forward. "We're here, Maya," he said softly. "Pick up the phone. You're ready to step into your truth." With a shaky breath, she unlocked the screen, reading her mentor's message again. It was an invitation to a meeting, a chance to present her idea and vision. Could she bring her family's stories to life? Could she weave her truths, her father's sacrifices, her mother's strength, and all their shared struggles into something beautifully transformative? What is it going to be? Her mother urged gently, an understanding in her voice that reminded Maya of all the moments they had spent together, tirelessly loving each other through trials. Maya's heart surged with determination. "It's time," she said, certainty biting at her courage. Taking a deep breath, she typed a reply. "I'm ready to meet. Let us share my story." The words felt like fireworks going off inside her. This was the leap she had been questioning, yet, as much as she felt nervous, the weight of family and truth pumped new life into her spirit. She could feel her heart expand, invulnerable yet strong. As she hit send, a collective sigh seemed to fill the room, shrouded in an electric silence of support. She looked at her family, both proud smiles gracing their faces, and the bond connecting them felt palpable, almost visible. "Are you okay?" her mother asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never knew it could feel like this," Maya admitted, emotion bubbling over. "Sharing my truth it's liberating. You've harnessed your fears and channeled them into action, Maya." "That is strength," her father said softly, a shimmer of pride lighting his eyes. "Now it's time to gather the stories of each of your lives," her mother encouraged, the kindness in her tone wrapping around Maya like a warm embrace. "Should we start right now?" Maya's pulse raced with excitement. She didn't want to waste another moment. She wanted to dive into their narrative, the trials and triumphs. "Absolutely," her father replied, his eyes sparkling. "Every second spent sharing can be a gift for everyone who needs to hear it." Maya turned, nestled between them, as they began to talk, each tale an intricate thread that formed the rich tapestry of their lives. Their laughter rang like music, and the stories flowed like an endless river. Hours melted away, time becoming irrelevant as they shared memories, some joyous, others painful, but all filled with love. They ventured into times of hardship, moments of festivity, times when hopes felt distant and dreams seemed too far away. "Maya, do you remember the first time you baked cookies?" Her mother laughed, recounting an afternoon that almost ended in disaster, but turned into delightful chaos. "That was a mess," Maya chuckled. "But I loved every second." Their eyes met, and in that grin, they reconnected. This was more than the flooding of memories. It was a rekindling of bond. Every story they shared healed invisible cracks. Every laugh reminded them that through struggle came strength. As the night wore on, the glow of hope kindled within Maya, pulsing brightly. She realized that her journey as a writer didn't have to be an escape from her family. Instead, it could pull them closer than ever before. It could forge new paths filled with understanding and acceptance, reaching a collective understanding of who they were together. Tell your stories, and let them transform what the world sees, her mother urged, weaving her fingers through Maya's, fortifying her resolve. Later, as they wound down, exhaustion began to settle in. Maya laid beside her parents, feeling the warmth of their companionship soak into her bones. She understood that the stories wouldn't always be easy to tell, nor would the process unfold seamlessly, but she could already feel the power of truth woven through their moments together. With each heartbeat, the realization solidified. By embracing her family as narrative, she would uncover pieces of herself, and in doing so, she'd illuminate the essence of countless others. "Here we go," she murmured, eyes fluttering as sleep threatened to overtake her. Each breath whispered of new beginnings, promising to reveal changes that weren't just on the horizon, but blossoming right here. And as they rested, the world beyond would continue spinning, unaware of the magic brewing within that little family where love conquered doubts, hope shattered fears, and each shared story strengthened their bond. The next morning would bring new challenges. A pitch awaited, and the journey of intertwining their truths would begin. But today, they would rest in the comfort of knowing that whatever came next, they would face it together. In that sacred space, dreams were born, and the healing of their family's narrative began. So, as the sun set on their shared stories, they didn't just conclude a night of memories. They ignited a fire that promised warmth and illumination for all the days to come. And with that, there was no turning back. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this journey. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of backing this channel through these actions. It matters. Let us uplift our stories together.